excited about this. I will say we were just chatting so much out back there that we were just at the door like, oh yeah, what order are we announcing in? Because we've been just chatting, catching up and talking about the show because I'm obsessed, I'm sure, just like you guys are. So let's start off with the co-showrunners, Alexandra Clarke and Heather Conkie. Followed by the creator, Marley Reed. Followed by the amazing cast, Chyler Leigh, Evan Williams, and Sadie Laflamme-Snow. Yeah, wherever you guys want. And I think while we're getting organized, I think we can actually...
Professionals, we're professionals, don't worry.
We're humans and we've got skirts, and so we want to make sure that everybody is decent and well protected and taken care of. I am totally a mom. Hello.
Can't help it. I think we're gonna start off throwing to a clip, actually. So let's let that first one go. Ooh. So dramatic. Woo.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun to watch that with you guys. I feel like it's so fun to watch your all reaction to it.
It's like I never know what's happening. I lost a button, y'all, that popped straight off. I don't know if you saw that happen, but we're just gonna be real up here now.
Oh, we love this. We love this. Marley, I want to start with you and talk a little about the origin of this idea, because I think it's really exciting to hear where this all came from.
Oh, so many years ago. It takes a while to get a TV show made. Yeah, it really came from the idea of, being a teenager who feels completely misunderstood by your parents. How could they possibly ever know what I'm going through? And then sort of daydreaming about like, well, what if we met at the same age and, would we like each other? Would we be friends? And that was just sort of the beginning nugget.
Nice. And then did something kind of take a new life when you brought on this lovely duo?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So many things. But number one, I would say Heather and Alex bring so much heart to this show, as, a real mother and daughter would.
Yes, of course. Sadie, I feel like were you going to say something? Were you like, I thought you were maybe picking your mic up like you wanted to chime in.
Oh, no. I wanted to apologize for gasping as if I'd never seen the show before. I was just shocked once again at the total twist.
All over again, you were shocked. Chyler, I want to ask you, when you first started in tapping into this versus going into the second season and now going into the third season, how do you feel about Kat as a human being now? Like, I'm curious how your feelings have changed about her from when you started to season 2 to now going into season 3.
I think this is really one of those life imitates art and vice versa sort of situation where I feel like I've seen so much evolution in Kat and acceptance, but also still the denial, and she's just so freaking stubborn. She just won't let go, with the best intent, though. So I love seeing how she's grown. I love seeing, the development of the relationships as well. I have teenage daughters, and so her relationship with Alice, seeing that in season 2, and even her relationship with Del, but it's gonna get heavy. I do. I appreciate her journey so much, and I just keep counting the roster of people she's kissing. So I'm kind of like, okay.
Me too.
Well, we're still working those details out. Yeah, I just love watching her grow.
I was going to get into the love triangle later, but I feel like we should just get into it now.
What love triangle?
Well, kind of first for you, Evan. I mean, Kat and Elliot have such an interesting relationship, but I feel like he was so just crazy about her from the beginning, from when he was a kid. But at the end of season 2, I mean, he was. It's understandably so.
Can you blame him?
Yeah. Are you kidding? But I feel like at the end of season 2, him kind of saying like, I want you to choose me. This is, kind of putting a little bit of his foot down a little. I'm curious how you have viewed how he's grown and how his feelings for Kat have kind of changed.
was putting his foot down in a very Canadian way, which is just like a polite request. Also, first of all, I want to say thank you for being here. It's such a lovely crowd. We really appreciate it.
And also, happy Pride.
Yay! Woo!
So the arc of Elliot, I think, has been moving from a man who was being everything he felt he had to be and maybe had no choice, to becoming a man who is discovering what he wants to be and what he can aspire to be. And so hopefully we're seeing Elliot become a fuller, taller man. Do you know what I'm talking about? And that's the kind of man that is required to love a woman like Kat Landry. And so I'm hoping that we will continue to see Elliot expand.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you guys, can you talk a little about that, on growing and developing Elliot's the character of Elliot?
I think Elliot's character was one of the more complex and interesting ones as we were even breaking that first season. The idea of someone that knows their future at such a young age and handling that, and then also seeing it play out, off the top of the first season, was such an amazing character to write to. And, we all had really amazing conversations with Evan about it. And it was really great in season 2 to see him kind of come out from under that prophecy and figure out that there was still work to do. It wasn't as easy as, oh, well, that's ended, and so now I can just be me. What is me? And I think, season 2 is a really incredible exploration of who is Elliot, why he is the way he is, and going into the backstory of his dad, who's so masterfully played by James Calanters. And I just think it's where we leave him at the end of season 2 is in such a strong place, breaking down that wall that was so much more than a wall. And I'm really excited to see the expansion of Elliot come season 3.
You wanted to be a little bit taller. Wish you were a baller.
I'm wearing lifts in season 3.
I actually think we have a clip that kind of talks a little about this. So I feel like we should throw to the Evan and Chyler clip. Oh. So intense.
Fun fact, that line, "You just watch me fix it," was ad-libbed by Chyler Leigh.
Look at that. I'm like, I was.
It might have come from a real place somewhere in my life at some point.
Speaking of that, I wanted to ask you too. I mean, we did a conversation yesterday, and I didn't get to ask this, and I feel like it's a super important part of the show. How much do you guys pull from any of your real experiences if you guys don't know, our showrunners are a mother and daughter duo, so it's a very, very exciting kind of part of the entire show. So I'm curious if there's anything from your own lives that you kind of pull into that.
I never lost a little brother.
Well, that's good. Yes.
Thank goodness. But I think you pull from all sorts of lives, not just your own. I think that things you read, things you've heard, things you've seen yourself, it all comes together into a big pot of memory. And so we draw on that for sure. But
I do think that, the mother-daughter relationships in this, certainly in first season, because Kat is essentially my age, and so I was that age in 99, 2000. The relationship that teen Kat has with her mom at that time, I drew a lot on that because that's what we had. It was a house full of music and kids over and listening to crazy songs on the radio and ICQ and all that fun stuff. That was 100% my Millennium New Year's parties that go haywire. But
yes, they do.
Yes, they do. And then what was so amazing is seeing that relationship between Kat and Alice in present day, especially in season 2, kind of coming together. Certainly, we drew on our own relationship for that. We're very lucky in that yes, we work together, and that's fun. But we have a really great relationship, and I'm an only child, and it is a friendship as much as it is a mother-daughter relationship. And even from the very beginning, it was very much a a respectful relationship where we met on a very equal playing field. And I think that is in the show as well.
That was one of the biggest
sorry.
draws for me when you first approached me about playing the character, was when I found out that you were mother-daughter. I was like, how is that possible? And it was almost taking the role because I just wanted to see how it happened. But no, it really
How will
was.
this work?
Because it does work, and it works beautifully. And Alex is like a sister, and this is Mum. I don't call Heather, because that sounds weird now. It's Mum. It really is such a family, and I feel like that is, like, you've really spearheaded that feeling on the set, like with our cast, with our crew. Like, you are honorary family, or we're honorary family to you. And so it really is, like, you can actually see that, you know, the impossible is possible, and it actually works really well. There's hope there for some of us.
Well, we try to keep it together for sure. It's a pretty big family, I'm going to say.
Especially when we're goofing off and Heather comes down and is like, kids. Like literally, it's like we're at a sleepover and we're not
This
sleeping.
is not a time for joking around.
Those family dinner scenes that Heather has to come lay down the law.
And even Andie, like, it was a dinner scene, and we're right at the end, and we're in the 11th and a half hour at this point, and we just get the giggles, and it was so hard to just settle down, and we were so tired, and I've been crying in every scene before in that day, and we did. Even Andie was like, "Yes, ma'am." And you're like,
We better lock it down.
there has to be a voice of reason somewhere. So
I had lots of experience with that. Only child, but tons of friends all the time. And just,
Love that. Sadie,
Do
what
you
is that?
know what time it is?
Yeah, right? Exactly.
oops.
What has that been like for you? I mean, being able to be put this half of this mother-daughter duo, and then also being with this mother-daughter duo.
Yeah, well, I think the great part is that the story is just, there's so many layers to the mother-daughter themes. It's inside the script and the concept, the show running team, and then also just the dynamic of being actually 3 generations of women who we have a lot to learn from each other. We have a lot of, we can support each other in ways that, like, you know, only 3 generations of women can. It's really beautiful to have people to look up to, and also, like, it is that intergenerational learning that's just it's invaluable. We love each other so much, and, you know, Chyler and Andie really look out for me in a lot of ways. This is my first big series, and so I really look to them, and it's changed everything about this experience, and it's made it so special.
And her first big series, and you watch her work. She's a gem. She really is. A lovely parting gift for you.
Put it back. I'll put it back.
We'll add it to the pond.
We should. I feel like, so I know that a few of you submitted questions ahead of time. We still will also get to audience questions, but I also, there's some of these are so good that I'm like, I'm going to add these into my questions. So I really appreciate you guys writing these down ahead of time. And one of them, Sadie, is about the Alice and Nick conversation and relationship that happened that was one of the wildest things, but done so beautifully. And I'm curious for you how, and the audience is also very curious how you kind of adjusted to having that conversation, what it was like to play with Nick finding out that Alice is Alice.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's intimidating when you know that, like, I think we knew from early in the season that that's where we were headed. And so I'm going to be honest, I was kind of nervous just because Alice was really ready to leave that in the past. And I think, like, the audience thought, like, no way they're going to go there. And then to just kind of crack it open like that is the hallmark of The Way Home. It's like, oh, you don't think we're going to go there? We're going to go there. So it was really fun, I think, to just, I think, give that sort of respect and like love for that really formative relationship for both of them, and to just it's also fun to have someone in the show that gets to find out about time travel, believes it, and has kind of nothing to do with it. Like, he's not like, oh, when can I go in, and like, where is Jacob? And you know what I mean? Like, he is along for the ride that we have all been on, you know, watching the show. And so that was really exciting for me. I think that relationship means a lot to Alice. It meant a lot to me, and to be able to close that loop and make, invite Nick into their world and their town in a way that he knows what's going on, but not in a way that would ever make it weird, was really exciting. And Carrie's so funny. Carrie's so
a little
funny. It was just really enjoyable to shoot. We just really leaned into the awkwardness, and
That scene was so cute with you guys sitting on the opposite sides of the couch. You're just like, how about that weather out there?
And we even shot an alternate just in case it was going to be like, because we were really careful on the show to like not have it be awkward. So there was an alternate beginning where Elliot is between them at the beginning. It's like, well, I'm just gonna be upstairs.
I gotta go.
But we ended up not needing it.
And the theme that Nick is often there before he finds out, giving Alice boy advice, and she's like, yeah. That's great, thank you. I think
weird.
it's really fun to play. The double life is just the most exciting thing to play, and it's been so much fun. I love that you guys love Nick. It's really it's a joy.
He's great. I want to talk a little about the time travel element and jumping into the pond. And something that you guys told me yesterday on the panel was that there's different levels of wetness that the clothes look like. And now that we know that, I want to ask the actors about that. And if you're aware, you're told how wet you need to be at what point and what that is like.
Okay, we should explain. PP1
The
is
PP
you
scale,
just came
okay.
out of the pond. You're post-pond 1. Post-pond 2, you're still dripping.
Yeah.
And post-pond 3, you're like damp, but Dell's not going to be like, have you been swimming?
Yeah.
And so I find myself half the time being like, I'm sure we can play this as a PP3, right, please? But yeah, that's where I'm at.
My 12-year-old mind was like pee and wetness. Welcome to my mind.
This is classic.
We need to maybe we rework it just a little bit.
When you said that yesterday, I was like, that's the choice? The PP is the choice?
PP2. Didn't think about it until right now. No, we really did. We wanted to work it out, also to make it a shorthand when we're talking about these things, because it takes so much forethought and work to make sure that, safety is number one, right? So it's like we are in a real pond that gets real cold in Toronto. And so we have to take those things into consideration as far as just like, some of the days when they are really cold and we can get away with it, we can at least wear like a wetsuit top or something. But the only problem with that is that it makes you buoyant. So trying to stay under the water, you're really under there huffing and puffing.
And then they're like, can you make a few less bubbles? You're like, yeah, no problem.
But we've been able to work it through also with our makeup, hair, and wardrobe department, where we can kind of get away with some things. So if you go back, and I recommend you do, the way home, folks, in time, we were actually started to wear darker and darker clothes intentionally, because it doesn't read as much it would be if we were in like a light pair of pants or something. You got to be soaking wet. There's no way around that. So we were like, you know what I'm going to wear? I'm going to wear black pants. I'm going to wear a dark sweater. And
Alice's ripped jeans went away really fast.
Real
Once
quick.
we started getting
Real
the
quick.
wetsuit involved, I was like, that's enough.
I was like, no. So there's a lot of work that goes into it, and we're very careful about that. And I'm really grateful because I also serve as an EP on the show. So for everybody to be so kind to let me kind of like speak also on our behalf as well, because there's different perspectives, and when you're the one that's jumping in the water and you're the one who has to make it look good, and we have very particular days that we lock off as our pond days. Because I was saying this earlier, it's like there's so many logistics. Also, the place where we film is not very conducive to a whole bunch of crew and cameras and all that stuff. It's a real pond. So a lot of thought has to go into it. So it's major kudos to our crew as well, who really bust their butts. And I have such a potty mouth, so I'm being really good right now. And a 12-year-old child. So yeah, we work, it's very intentional, but we're able to kind of like use different materials. We had like the KY jelly kind of vibe going on, that they'd come with car wash sponges and try to put on the outside of our clothes, which in retrospect actually didn't help. It just trapped in the cold. So we've worked it through. a lot of careful consideration, and it's definitely a team effort.
I love that. A lot of people say working with animals is very difficult, but it seems that this dog is such a big part of it that is very important. How is it
He's
working
very
with?
difficult.
He's what? He's very difficult.
Such a diva.
A lot of
He's a
divas.
real puppy at heart, though, and he was just kind of being brought up with our animal trainers. He had a very rough upbringing. He was very poorly treated before he was brought in. Yeah, really bad. And so he was a little bit skittish, and he was, a little apprehensive. But our trainers, they really did as great a job as you can with a dog that also is a herding dog. You know what I mean? Like he's got stuff to do. So he tries to do it. And so it's a little unruly.
We're dog people, animal people, so we're happy when he's in the scene though. So.
He's a sweet boy. I think the people behind the camera are like, no, because like the dog is going to take focus 100% of the time. Like we're busy acting our face off, and the dog is like,
Right.
and your eyes are going to that dog every single time.
And I think most shows would be like, and then the dog went to another farm, but he's such a
that
but
great big farm in the sky.
He's the hero of he was the one that went in the pond, and that's why Jacob fell. Like you can't. Finn is Finn, and he's got to be with the Landrys. So
We did, if I can just say this real quick, we did have a really funny moment with Gwen. So in our props department, we really literally have the greatest crew imaginable. And everybody is just, just all in. And so one of our girls on our prop department, we were trying, Sadie and I had this really serious scene, and we're out right by the pond, and Finn did his name is Finn. He just did not want to do it. It was like, I'm not today. And so Gwen actually held the other end of the leash, and she's like on the ground like this, holding it as if this is him and his leash and his collar, because he wouldn't behave.
But she had to hold it so it could move
like
appropriately in the frame, because it was wide enough that you could see Chyler's hands.
Wow.
It's just a person on the other.
So you're trying to do this serious dialogue, and there's this woman who is squatting next to you, holding the leash. You're like, this is the most ridiculous job that we do in the world.
That's acting. That's the acting.
She actually went on to play Rebecca Landry.
Yes, she did. Yes. Yeah.
She did so good as the Finn stand-in that she got promoted to
She got a
Rebecca
part.
Landry.
The stand Finn.
She's one of the loveliest people on the planet. So
I think we actually have a clip of the importance of Finn, so I want to throw to that. I love that. Love that you got to experience the pond this season. Was it
Me
very
too.
exciting for you?
I was lobbying hard since like the beginning of this show. I was like, who would be cool as a time traveler? I have a few ideas.
I know we have a lot of questions about season 3, and I will do my best to try to get that. I saw all of the questions that you guys have, and I have the same ones. I want to ask one more thing though about this last season. In addition to Kat's romances, she also had a
plural.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. She also had a new friendship this season. And I'm curious, like Susanna and Kat had this really beautiful relationship, but a lot of people, I myself included, thought that maybe it was more than a platonic relationship. Is that something you guys can speak on? And maybe on Chyler, how you feel about that?
I'm not saying anything. I'm gonna let these folks say something. I'll probably jump in at the end. Don't worry.
No, I think you actually put it best in one of your articles that I read. So you like, the vibe was vibing. That's
Yes. The vibes were vibing faux show.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think the Susanna Kat relationship is just. It's just pure love, like it is. They are in awe of one another. I think they see strength in one another that they are not thinking they are capable of themselves. Here's this woman in 1814 who, is afraid to really say what she is, who she is, doesn't even really have the words for it. And here comes Kat, who's this strong, independent, fiercely vocal woman in pants, and I think that
pants, pantalones, sí.
And then conversely, I think with Susanna, she is such a strong woman, but it's a quiet strength, and it's from within, and she's so dignified and determined to live the life she wants to live on her own terms in a time that might not necessarily let her. And so I think when they meet each other, it's a meeting of the minds, but there is this sort of chemistry, no question about it, in the way that they interact with one another. And let's be honest, Kat doesn't really have a ton of female friends in present day. And I think seeing that equal in one another, even though they're in these two completely different eras, was what draws them to one another like a moth to a flame.
Mm-hmm. We also knew the significance of, we really appreciate the significance of chemistry on our show. And we really, because we have such a dynamic and yet loving environment, it's kind of like we sort of suss folks out a little bit, just to make sure that the vibes are vibing. Mm-hmm. So we actually did a chemistry read with two lovely actresses, Watson Rose being one of them, just for the relationship, just to see what it would be like between the two of them. Not really defining anything, not trying to put any borders on anything at all, but just like, how can we represent something that from a time that was unrepresentable and that was totally like not even thought of? Like, it would be better that you were a witch than you would be a lesbian. Mm-hmm. Wow, so weird. Isn't that relevant? Sorry, that's another. Anyways, so reading with Watson, it was just like, we just knew. She came in and she was so well prepared. But if you meet Watson in person, as beautiful and elegant, and she's stunningly gorgeous, but like inside and out. But she's the biggest gremlin you will ever meet in your life. She's the goofiest person. And
Print that.
Oh, she would agree. We call each other gremlin, so it's fine. But yeah, we really wanted to make sure that it was right. And especially for myself, and this kind of segues a little bit also into Chris Holden Reed. I wasn't able to read with Spencer, but he was so Jacob, it wasn't even questionable. Right. But so with Chris, we also did a chemistry read, and it was like immediate. You just knew who belonged there with us to tell this story. And I was nervous because I was like, I got to go into the 1800s. This is a whole different cast, and this is like, are the vibes vibing? And I didn't know, because this is my family, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna be away from my family. And I was nervous, but then we created this incredible dynamic, for this really harsh time in Canada, but like, and so we were like, okay, let's just do as much justice and bring as much authenticity, to these characters. And I personally feel like they all nailed it in the 1800s for sure. But yeah, Katana, huh? That's what I heard.
I like that. I'm into
Some really good fan edits out there.
Yeah, there are. And that's a good thing, right? I mean, I think the fans of the show, again, I would put myself in this category. The Easter eggs that you guys all do so brilliantly is something that I notice, a lot of the fans notice on social media. One of the excellent questions, actually 2 different people sent this question in, the Thomas's last name on Colton's guitar, and that people saw that and captured that. Can you guys say if we will find out about that connection this season?
Yeah, I think so.
You do.
Yes, we do.
We do answer that one, I promise.
Okay. I'm going to try to do everything I can, guys. They are so tight-lipped, which I appreciate, because we also don't want to be spoiled too much. But that's a really, I think the Easter eggs in the show are such a big part, I would assume, of the storytelling. Can you talk a little
I think what's cool too is, some start in the writer's room and some come from, like the coil sticker in particular, we worked that in because our art team often names things after themselves as a joke. So that sticker Coils is one of our graphics people, Keely Coyle. And then we noticed it and said, well, we should work that into the story. So yeah, it all works its way in.
I love that so much.
Sometimes it's very serendipitous, right? Mm-hmm. It's like not even necessarily intentional, but then actually sometimes with the help of our lovely fans, kind of throw some things out there and you're like, y'all are good.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oops.
Some of the theories are unhinged, though. So let's be clear.
So any where Kat ends up with anyone else but Elliot, you're like, that's unhinged.
That is unhinged.
Unhinged.
I think it's safe to say we're never going to do incest. There's a lot of theories that go that way, and we are never going to do that. So.
Wow. The fact that you had to say that is wild to me. Another question that was submitted that I thought was very interesting. Do you think Brady and Kat would have ended up together had Jacob not gone missing?
I think so. I actually really do. I think they were exactly what each other needed in that moment in time. I think that what we really loved about the Brady-Kat relationship, even now in post-divorce, is they do bring out a really fun side to one another, and they push each other. And they're both equally ambitious. They're both very driven. They're both very quick-witted. And I do think, even if Jacob hadn't gone missing, I think they would have lasted a little. Yeah, I think they would have lasted. I really do. Yeah. Sorry, Elliot. Your time is
cool.
Your time
It's fine.
it wasn't your time.
That's unhinged.
Alex. It's unhinged.
Waiting
But
for
everything
expansion.
happens for a reason. So
Yeah, everything does happen for a reason. Before I continue, let's throw to one more clip. Here, sorry. The tears everywhere.
Gets me every time. Oh my god. Every time.
Full crying.
Yeah, I know.
Like mother, like daughter. I swear to God.
I had my
Break
eyes
the heart.
closed over,
I've
so I
seen
didn't
that
cry.
scene. How many hours in the edit room have I been with that scene, and it still just drives me crazy. I can't
love
stand
that
it.
so much. Oh, that makes me so happy. It does, because it's so touching, and Andie, of course, is such an incredible part of this family. And I want to kind of ask a little about going forward, if you guys can share when this next season picks up. Of course, the last scene we saw was Jacob about to walk in. So are we going to have a time jump? Are we going to pick up quickly after that? I'm curious if we can say if we'll see Del's reaction too.
Ooh. I don't know what we can share about that. I can confirm that we do have to do a time jump purely because of when we shoot. We left them obviously in November of 2024, and we're going to be shooting in August. So we do have to. That's just the nature of our show. We do have to jump, but I'm TBD on how much we do cheat things and stay pick up right where we left off. Very similarly to how we started season 2, and then jump. So that's
safe to say.
I think that's safe. I don't know.
Marley's like, yes, of course. Sadie, did you want to say something?
Oh no, I'm like, you all have to sign an NDA on your way out.
this isn't
Thanks
being
for being
broadcast.
here, but now you're in a special club.
How much do you guys know, the cast, what's coming in season 3 right now? Have you been told some things?
We know a lot.
Okay.
We know a lot.
That was very aggressive.
Threatening somehow?
We're so excited. I think I don't want to speak for you guys, but I'm so excited because so much of the stuff that we have coming up has been earned by 2 seasons already. And when you have a 3rd season of a show, you have so much story behind you already. So the engine is already going. So the stuff that we can be paying off for the audience, it means so much, right? And so it means a lot for the actors as well. And I can't wait to tell the story that we're going to be shooting in season 3. And I can't wait for you to see it.
Yeah.
I feel like I know more now than I did this time last year.
Okay.
And that's really cool to be, to sit with those kinds of themes and stuff, like with more time, because now we're starting to know our characters and our stories even more. So just like, and wanting, like, we have our own thoughts about, like, what we want to know about our characters and what we want them to fight for, and so to know those things are coming and to know what fans are excited about, and I don't know, that's just it's made me even more excited than I've ever been to shoot the season. So
I love that.
I've been told bits and pieces, but I have a big mouth, so it's probably best that I don't know too much if you haven't already
So
noticed.
I should be asking you all the questions, is what you're saying.
Please don't.
I won't, Mom, I won't. I promise, Mom. I'll get in trouble again.
So you've gotten in trouble before.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'll just take her microphone away. It's okay.
Is there a chance that we will see, I don't want to say is there a chance, will we see Elliot's ex-wife this season? Or will we meet her?
Who have you been talking to?
I like that.
Not me. I didn't say anything. No.
I'm always going to blame Chyler now.
Why did you all look at me?
Everybody wants spoilers, but you don't want spoilers. Nobody wants
nothing,
spoilers.
not too much. But I do think it's an interesting dynamic that we haven't explored yet. And I think that's something that we've gotten a lot of his childhood, but we really haven't gotten that section of his life yet. So
That's something I've been really very curious about, actually. Like, I think it's a great question.
Yep. And we never see them talk, like, they're never sitting around talking about, like, how was your time when you didn't live in Port Haven? And she's always like, blah, blah, blah. I went in the pond.
Me.
the only thing they talk about is the pond.
I think there's a lot of Elliot story left to tell.
That's
Probably our
absolutely.
diplomatic answer.
Okay, I like that. And then when it comes to, what was that? Go ahead.
I just wanted to end that. I just wanted to thank also the writers for giving Elliot the chance to actually have the moment with Colton to be able to like wrap up that part of it, so then we can move on to the other thing as well. Absolutely.
That work was so beautiful. I
you.
mean, it was someone with daddy issues. It was like really, really beautiful to watch that. Like, I sobbed watching it. It was
I love you.
beautiful.
I love
I
you.
love
So
you,
did
baby.
we. I mean,
Surprise. In a shocking
you've now
turn.
seen it and witnessed it, so.
I love that so much. All right, I think I'm gonna throw it to you guys because I think that there's probably some fans in here who have a lot of questions. I think this woman in the blue is the first one I saw her hand go up.
Will we ever get a bottle episode, a side project short film, Finn's Pond story?
I thought you said a puddle episode, and I was like, sure. Hey, wait, that's an idea. That's an idea.
All it takes is a puddle. Surprise.
A bottle episode.
Yes, I get it now.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
If we run out of budget, there will be a bottle episode. Absolutely. But, and we would love to do a movie at some point. That would be amazing. And a spin-off. And I'll stop there.
It's such a unique show in that way, right? Because you do have cast in every single era. And what the heck are they doing when these people aren't around? You know, that in and of itself is something I'd want to see. I'd want to see 99, Teen Kat, Teen Elliot, Teen Nick, just their life without this situation.
I'm so inspired.
I want to see like Del and Colton's wedding. Like I would love to see that. Them falling in love before kids.
Cute.
Yeah. All right, next, I think over here in the yellow shirt.
Thanks. Thank you guys so much for doing the panel. I wrote this on my phone because I don't want to screw up my question. I chose this beautiful show to jump into for a spec script for a fellowship application, and my window into the Landry family was through, I don't want to butcher her name, Samora Smallwood's character, Monica. And I'm wondering if you have intentions, the writers, to come into the next season, coloring in a bit more of her character in the past and present, as well as other supporting characters connected to the Landry family, and just what those fuller portraits might look like. And also the cast too, like who you're curious to see more of, who's not like a lead on the show.
Great question.
I think, you know, Monica, we love Monica. Monica is she's kind of actually based off of a little bit of a friend of mine who is just, you know, from the clothes to everything, she's just so unapologetically her, and I love it. Same with Rita. You know, they're very similar in that way, just different generations. And no, I think Monica is always going to have a soft spot in all of our hearts this season as well. I mean, with Alice working at the Point, we want that to continue because it's so cute. And diving into Monica's story that way, you know, what's so unique is Alice sees her from a boss perspective. Mm-hmm. Kat and Elliot obviously see her from their childhood. And you know, I think one of the really fun scenes that you guys shot this past year was the dance party. They had so much fun.
If you could have seen the extended cut of that scene, or I don't think we even have one, but all the footage, hours. This guy and Samora
is a beast on the dance floor.
That's something that should be released.
Yes.
I really think.
I think
That'll be the short film. That'll be the spin-off. Just 2 hours.
Dance film. Elliot's dance film.
But yeah, no, I think Monica is definitely someone. It's funny. A lot of people have called out the fact that we've never met her husband, and we sort of see him.
Spilsky.
Spilsky,
Yeah, where's
exactly.
Spilsky
So,
at?
and that's something that's really fun to dive into too. I mean, all these people. When we're building this town, Port Haven, everyone has a story, and it's always fun to kind of pull the thread a little bit of the Monicas and the Ritas, because that's real. That's life.
And I do want to say that our writers have a huge task in writing a show that not only takes place with a whole bunch of characters, but also takes place in multiple timelines. And they have to do it all. It's a 1 hour episode with commercials. So they have, 42 minutes?
42.
Yeah.
42.
42 minutes.
Just
And so
under
all of these
42.
episodes are coming in at like 75 minutes long, and they have to
Don't
cut
tell
it
Hallmark.
way down. So in order to be able to get to a lot of like the really juicy characters, they would have to be shooting and writing for a 2 hour show. So if you want that to happen, the only way that's going to happen is if the ad sales are big enough. So basically, you got to tell your friends to watch the show if you want to see the background characters. Okay.
And
So-
eat Cheerios. I don't know. Do those pop up? Is
Yeah.
that commercial for Cheerios in
Totally.
there?
I'm hungry and thirsty.
I love this. All right, I think we have one over here.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Allie. I'm from the Way Home fan page on Facebook, so shout out to them. I had a question for Chyler and Sadie. What are you looking forward to exploring most in Kat and Alice's relationship moving forward?
Mother.
Daughter.
I'm excited to see, they were really like depending on each other emotionally and really had to be kind of like a safe place to land for each other this season. But I kind of think, naturally as a teenager grows up, things change, and the growing up process is hard on mothers and daughters. And I think like that kind of like difficult 15-year-old we met at the beginning of season 1, like she's still in there somewhere. So I kind of feel like they have to go through the growing pains of what does it mean for Alice to become like, get older and grow up, and she's already an old soul because she's been to the past. So I think that can test the limits of their relationship, but ultimately always a soft spot, safe place. Yep, that's enough.
Yeah.
A safe place to land. Thank you.
Yeah, and I always love when they get to do some sleuthing together and kind of like get into some mischief and trouble together. So I'm hoping that we get to see a little bit of that about, this year.
I feel like there was a lot of that. I feel like we've seen a lot of that. I like it. All right, who do we have next? In the back?
Hi, I'm Kimberly. The casting is incredible. Then the matching of how much the younger versions look like the older version, I'm really blown away. And I work in casting, and I'm like, what? How did you find her? So I wonder if you could talk some about finding this incredible cast, about for the actors, how you came to be a part of it, auditions or whatever. Thank you.
We're so lucky. I mean, we've got a great casting agency, but a lot of the time it's kind of been kismet, and we joke a lot on the show that things do tend to fall into place in weird ways on our show. There is this energy about it that, I'm a big believer in signs, and anytime I'm having a stressful day writing on the set, whatever, there's always something. There's always a little sign that shows me. It's so hard to explain. I know it sounds a little wackadoo, but I think when it came to casting, it was that. It was crazy. David Webster, who plays Teen Elliot, read for Teen Nick. Imagine that audition. And we really loved him, but he wasn't Nick. Sam Braun, he was, I think, our first guy we cast.
He was the very first.
So it was like, that is so Nick. That is like 90s Jared Leto Nick. And then, Evan read because Marley had worked with him, and then obviously it was Elliot. Like, there was no question. And then we realized, oh my God, David Webster. Oh my God, and that kind of just fell into place. And it was very similar with Spencer, who plays adult Jacob. Again, we did a huge search, very covert search. It was kind of a first for all of us to be that covert. We had to send out sides with a different name, and no one had any idea who they were actually auditioning for. And a ton of auditions came back, and just no one was Remy, who plays little Jacob. And then one of our producers just said, well, what about Spencer McPherson? And we looked at his photo and we were like, are you kidding me? Like, this is crazy.
It sent shivers because their eyes are literally identical. And little Jacob is an extraordinarily beautiful child. I mean, he's hard to match. And here was this man who, you put the two pictures together and you'd swear it's him grown up.
I think we have been so lucky on the casting front, and it really has been kismet. But not only matching, but I mean, these three, it was just, and Andie, it was like the dream come true. The minute you guys all came on set, it gelled so well right from the start, like they were family. And when you're starting from that strength, it's a gift.
I'm curious if for the actors, I know Elliot, yours will come soon, but do y'all have a favorite time period when you're acting? Like being a part of?
It's hard to really choose one over the other because, at least for myself, I've been able to be in all three. And so there are so many wonderful characteristics about each time. And the characters that we meet, and just I've been really, really honored to be able to kind of like go throughout the whole. It was really fun being in the 1800s. I will be honest. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry.
Why was it fun exactly? Like
Who made it fun?
What do you mean?
People's is people's. No, I don't think I could pick one over the other. I know that's kind of like a lame answer, but it's only because my heart lies in each one. So.
I love when I got to really integrate into the family and not tell anyone who I was. So to someone's like, where are you from? And you're like, oh, from the States, and I just moved here recently. Like, you're not lying per se, but you're not telling the full truth. And I think in terms of as an acting exercise, it's really cool. And then on top of that, it's just, it was just such a warm, family moment for the Landrys. So that really gives Alice the drive to kind of come back and put everything into motion and say, like, we need to find that again in the present, which also makes the present a warm place to be. And I think Alice and Del are finding kind of a more, I don't know, like warm relationship together too. And so that's another time that I'm really looking forward to going back to as well.
Thinking of that, though, it is really funny how many times people have wandered onto the Landry farm and Colton's just like, come on in. You're like, we're pretty far out there. Yeah. Like, I don't know, it seems a bit random.
Weird.
It's very strange.
Unhinged, really.
It's unhinged.
It would be maybe because he has some idea where they're coming from. Let's be honest.
Who can say?
Really? Who can say? What about you, darling?
Well, Elliot only travels to one time period, but
so far.
I agree with what Sadie's saying about how the game of getting to act like you were trying to keep a secret, but knowing that the audience is inside the secret, like that game is so fun because as an actor there's so many different ways you can try to navigate that and fail and win and whatever. So it's just like really juicy, fun parts of it. But like as far as other time periods, there are so many different time periods that this show can go to. There's so many lateral possibilities that like it's basically endless. But I mean, like, I'd like to go way back, like way back. That's all I'll say.
Do you want to be a vampire?
Way back to the age
Is
of
that an era?
vampires.
Vampire? That's really my wish.
I think we may have time for one more question, if it's a quick one. Let's go right to the front row here. She's coming right back.
It's your time to shine.
I know, I'm so excited. Hello, can you, okay.
I can
Oh,
repeat it.
okay. Oh, sorry. Hi, sorry to delay. So I love this show. It's one of my absolute favorites. So excited when an episode comes out. Love the characters and the stories. Oh my gosh, just incredible. I'm wondering, is there ever a time where, because some of the scenes are intense, just some of the clips, I'm like crying and I'm going back there. And is there ever a time when you've read the script and you're like, I can't believe my character's going to do this, or whoa, what is happening with my character? And you're a little bit maybe shocked or appalled? Has that ever happened?
Every episode.
I think for me, the one that stands out is the car crash. Just like knowing that like we turn the page and you're like, and then Kat steps out, or Alice steps out in front of the truck, and you're like, and then what? And then we run away, and the truck drives away. Like, you're hoping that it's not you're not there, and it's not your fault. And how do you live with that? And that was one that I was like, we like did not hold back in telling the real hard like scenario that was Colton's death, and that responsibility that weighs on them for the rest of every episode, every scene, every season. Like it was really intense. So, but also a huge honor to do. So.
I think when the first time that Elliot and Kat kiss in season 1, like it was sort of like, yes, finally, and I think we got a little bit of that on screen too. I think
his
we
reaction
You got your
was
celebration.
but like a lot of it is like related to what Sadie was saying. Like we're trying to figure out, can we get away with this on Hallmark too? Like we're really trying to push the envelope of what Hallmark audiences are used to and what they're expecting, and we want to continue to challenge them, but without losing them. We don't want to alienate anybody, but we want to try to earn the depth of the story that we're trying to tell. And so it's really rewarding every time we read a new script and we go there. And not only do we go there, but we do it with compassion and in a way that kind of authenticity and holds the audience. And so as the seasons go forward, and even as the episodes move forward in the season, the read-throughs get more and more sort of momentous, and as you can probably guess, there's a lot of tears in this.
That was another thing I was going to say. You can guarantee that there's at least 5 people that are crying in the table, and
Tissues just get passed around the table.
Tissues go
like,
around,
the whole
and it's usually the writers that are crying the most, and you're kind of like, well.
No, we cry because it's so lovely to hear our thoughts and things we typed coming out of your mouths. That's why we cry.
Thank you guys all so much for being here. Thank you guys all for coming.
Thank you for having us.
so much, you guys.